Paros with Miss Donna. And no matter what you went through, that's
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure for me to be with you today on this amazing event, Rising Again. It's, of course, this time of the year where we're all setting our New Year's resolutions, or at least a lot of people around the world are setting their New Year's resolutions, setting their goals. It's it's this phenomenon called the fresh start effect, right? Where we look back at the year that just passed, and Patman just so rightfully said that 2023 is our teacher, but now we're in 2024. And so this is just happening all over the world. And when it comes to resolutions, we all know, right, how the statistics, the odds are really stacked up against us when it comes to actually seeing the fulfillment of those resolutions. In fact, there's this running joke about how one of the most popular resolutions is to lose weight, and so gyms would traditionally bring out their gym equipments on January 2, but bring those back into storage by January 15, because in as much as there was a surge of people going to the gym on the first 2 weeks of January, by January 15, they're nowhere to be found, right? And we don't want that for you. We don't want that to lose steam. We don't want you to lose steam by January 15. In fact, we want this fresh lose steam by January 15. In fact, we want this fresh start effect that the new year brings, this chance for a do-over, to start all over, to carry you through all the way to March 31st. Because if you're able to clear that hurdle, if you're able to clear that line, then it will be easier for you to clear the hurdle for the next quarter and the next quarter. And before you know it, it's December 31st, and you're looking back at your goals, and you are amazed, because not only did you accomplish your goals, but you probably even exceeded them. That's our hope. And I'm really honored to have this time with you to just talk about one of those mindsets that Patman drilled on earlier and even yesterday, which is consistency. We want each and every one of you to succeed, no matter if you're just starting out or you've kept falling and rising up again and falling and rising up again. The fact that you're here, we want you to succeed in 2024. Now, the late Jim Rohn is quoted, but that it is a natural consequence of consistently applying basic fundamentals. So ultimately, I know you've got your goals, you've got your dreams, you've got your targets, you've got your aspirations for 2024. But at the end of the day, you've got your aspirations for 2024. But at the end of the day, it's really consistency that's going to matter. Because without consistency, all of those resolutions, all of those plans will simply remain that. Plans, resolution, quality of always behaving or performing in a similar way. So I'd like to underscore the word always, in a similar way. So I'd like to underscore the word always. Patman talked about inconsistency. You're here and then you're not. You're there and then you're not. Very inconsistent, very unreliable. But consistency is number one, it's a quality. It is not a skill, but a quality. It's a trait that of being always, not sometimes, not most of the time, but always acting or behaving in a similar way. There's a pattern, and you're always behaving in that pattern, following that pattern. Now, when it comes to those basic fundamentals, I mean, I really appreciate Patman for doing the 8 basic building blocks. Just like you, Kalai, I fell in love again with it last night, as you know, as I was listening to it, because that really is ultimately the fundamentals. We don't need to keep reinventing the wheel, or we don't need to chase after new trends or new thoughts or new ways unless we master the fundamentals, unless we master these basics, the 8 basic building blocks, the foundation of everything that we're ever going to build if we want to build strong, if we want to build to last. So the question really, when it comes to consistency, is how will you always live out the 8 basic building blocks? VP David talked about the Will Smith story of laying those bricks, and how Will Smith's realization was it was all about that one brick. It was all about that one action. It was all about that one thing that he would do consistency. Whether it's you laying that block of dreaming and dreaming again and dreaming bigger and dreaming bolder, whether it's the block of commitment. And Patman said that commitment doesn't exist without consistency, right? Whether it's that block of just creating that list. And as you take off names from that list of 150 names, repopulating that list, consistently making sure you've got that list of 150 names. Without consistency, your commitment to your business, your commitment to your dreams, those dreams, they're not going to work. So let's spend a little time today, and I'm just going to go a little practical with you tonight, because I think that really ultimately it's not the big things that you do sometimes that will matter, but it's really those small, simple, but critical actions that you do on a daily basis. It's those small, simple, critical actions that can lead to that massive change that you've been dreaming of, working for, fighting for, okay, all of this time. So if you've been with the business for some time, you might have a daily agenda. So we're going to break it down really to what you do every day. Now, you can't really do big things on a daily basis, right? It's going to be too tiring. Only Patman can do that. High energy, high fidelity, so to speak, right? On a daily basis. High fidelity, so to speak, right? On a daily basis. Not a lot of people can do that. Most of us, we can instead go into what are those small, simple but critical actions that we can do on a daily basis that you must do every day. So I'd like to ask you now, I know, Kalai asked you to prepare your notebooks and your pens, and I just really want to ask you to give this some thought right now. If you were to choose 3 small, okay, simple, but critical actions that if you do every day will automatically propel you towards your goals, what would those be? What would be 3? I know there are a lot, and we could really fill up a piece of paper with all of the things that we must do, right? Mindset, skills, and all of these things. I mean, even the basic building blocks, there are 8 of them, correct? But if we were to really distill and choose 3 critical actions that will directly and automatically propel you towards your goals, 3 simple actions that you can do every day. Now, obviously, we're talking about habits and not goals, right? Because if your goal is to max out in December, by December 31st, 2024, you will need the systems, the habits that will enable you to do that. And so, what are those systems that will enable you to move your business forward? I'd like you to write that down. Just those, what you think are those 3 small, simple actions. Small, simple, but critical actions that you could do. It could very well be maybe making new friends a day. Is that going to move the needle closer towards you fulfilling your of prospecting? Not inviting first, but prospecting. And to me, prospecting was always a difficult word because to me, prospecting was always a difficult word because I was pathologically shy. I was so shy before I got was pathologically shy. I was so shy before I got into network marketing that I didn't even really have any friends. Literally, I only had one friend all throughout my adult life, right? And I was happy with just having one friend. So making that list of 150 was so much of a challenge for me. And when they were talking to me about teaching me about prospecting, I just really had the mental block towards that. However, when I understood that prospecting really is all about making new friends, I said, okay, that I could do. You know, when you genuinely care about somebody, when you genuinely want to help somebody, when you genuinely want to serve people, it will be simple enough to be able to make new friends. And I know, Patman, we belong to the generation where it's all about phone numbers, right? But today, you don't even have to ask for phone numbers. You can just ask them what's their name on Instagram, what's their name on on Facebook or whatever, and through IG you could already message them directly without even getting their phone numbers. One more block eliminated from that. So it could be that one of your critical actions that you could do on a daily basis is make, let's say, 3 new friends a day. So when you go to the supermarket, or when you're at the doctor's office, or you're at the bank or whatever, because you're now in this mode of I need to consistently make 3 new friends a day, you'll probably smile more, you'll engage people more, you'll talk to people more. And here's a tip in making new friends. They say that the fastest way to make a friend is solve a problem for them, right? So I mean, that's something that we can all do. We can all solve somebody's problem. It can be something very simple, but nevertheless, that's a great way to open the door and create friendships. And even if they say no to you about the business, as Patman said, we have gained friends, right? So that's one simple but critical action as an example. Another critical action, right? So that's one simple but critical action as an example. Another critical action could be becoming a product of QNet's products, really just using them and making them part of your lifestyle. Why is that a critical action? Well, if you don't believe in QNet's products, if you don't believe that QNet's products have the power to transform lives, if you don't have at least one product that you believe can transform lives because it's transformed your life, how are you going to share stories about our products? And if you're not sharing stories about our products, What are you going to sell? Remember, QNet pays commissions not on the number of signups, but on the volume of sales, on BV. So being a product of the product is a critical action, but it's something small and simple. I wake up in the morning. I don't have to think twice about making sure that after I shower, I put on my Physio Radiance. When I drink my water, it's a home pure, it's water from my home pure unit. I don't need to think about it because I'm a product of my product. And so consistently I do that. And that's something we can do. Or maybe another small but simple but critical action could be making a certain number of presentations a day. And I know later on and tomorrow, Patman and the other V partners will be going more deeply into, presentation. So I'm not going to really spend much time on that. But needless to say, presentations are a critical action. It's small because it's something you could do now that you could work from your phone. You could make a presentation using your phone wherever you are in 15 minutes, right? Something every one of us can do on a daily basis. Okay. So Patman also said that it's about simplicity and duplication. So imagine now if you were to choose 3 small, simple, but critical actions that not only you can do, but that everyone in your team can do, regardless of whether they've been with you in the business for a year or whether that person just signed up today. Can they do these 3 simple actions? Because ultimately, it's about, yes, it's not, we duplicate who we are, but we also duplicate what we do. And what we do on a consistently, what we do. And what we do on a consistent daily basis is what our downlines will duplicate on a consistently and daily basis. So let's go into duplication very, very quickly. What is it anyway? Okay, I know you've heard about it. Duplication is number 1. It's building. Okay, it's not something that will happen overnight. It's not something that will just happen automatically. Something that will happen overnight. It's not something that will just happen automatically. Duplication is something that you will intentionally and consistently build. Okay.
Miss
And
Donna,
yes.
just a little slower. The translators are finding a little bit difficult to catch up.
Okay. Thank you. So the thing about duplication is that, as I said, it's something that you build. And when you're building something, you don't see the results right away. Remember that Will Smith story. How long did it take Will Smith and his brother to build that wall? It took them 16 months, I think, if I remember the story correctly, right? 16 long months of doing what? Building, okay? And doing the same simple action of laying that brick. So if you want to duplicate effectively, you must be in a building mode. And a building mode is an action mode. It's not static. It's something that you're in movement, you're in motion, okay? You're doing something, and hopefully you're doing something well and right, okay? So building, but what are you going to build? As an upline, as a networker, if you really want to harness as an upline, as a networker, if you really want to harness the power of duplication, you want to build a large group of people. a large organization. Okay. Of course, you're going to start small. You're going to start with your 2, and then you're going to keep adding to that, and they will also be adding to that, correct? But ultimately, you don't stop building until you have the second element, which is a large group of people. I have seen people build strong, okay? Start strong when it comes to building very consistently, okay? Very passionately, with that right mind, with all of those mindsets, following the basic, 8 basic building blocks. However, okay, when they start to earn checks, sometimes the danger is when we experience a little success. So what do I mean? Let's say you're living on $1,000 a month as a salary, right? Activities in QNet, your monthly income doubled to $2,000. Now that's huge, right? 100% increase. Nobody gets dollars. Now that's huge, right? 100% increase. Nobody gets 100% salary increase, in a year, correct? So that 100% salary increase, in a year, correct? So that could be great. However, there becomes a danger where, because you're now earning $2,000 a month, you start to slow down. You start to, cut back on your daily activities, on those critical actions on a daily basis, and think, oh, it's okay. You know what? My bills are covered, right? I just came from a holiday with my family, and I need a vacation to recover from that vacation, and you start to slow down, and that can be a very big problem. In fact, I think that's a bigger problem than somebody who hasn't earned a single check just yet. Okay, so the key to effective duplication is building a large group of people. How large would you say? Large enough for you to be able to generate the same kind of the volume that is required for you to hit your target income. Okay, so building a large group of people, doing what? I know, it's easy to say, oh my gosh, in QNet, I have 100,000 people in my tree, right? But is it just about the numbers? Obviously not. I remember when I was starting out on after my first 3 months in the business, I had like, 1,500 people in my organization. Now, in 3 months' time, that's a large group already, correct? Especially when you're just starting out. However, most of those people, in fact, I always say this, 1,496 of them were on one leg, and only 4 were on the other leg. And at that time, the compensation plan was paying 5 on the left and 5 on the right, not what we have today, which is 3-3. What does that mean? I had a little bit large group of people, but I wasn't earning. Correct? Why? Because these people need to be doing with the third element, which is doing the same simple, small, and critical actions consistently on a daily basis. So ultimately, that really is your goal when it comes to consistency. Okay? What is it that you want to duplicate in 2024? Because like it or not, guys, you will be duplicating. You don't need to participate in RISE again to duplicate. I guarantee you, you will be duplicating. The question is, what kind of duplication will you accomplish by March 31st, by end of June, by end of, September, by end of December? With what you're learning and what we're sharing with you, our dream, as Patman said, we don't want you to quit. We want you to stay the course and finish the race, run the race and finish the race all the way to December 31st. And the only way to do that is to ensure that you're duplicating effectively. How is that going to happen? You start with yourself. Start with your daily agenda. If you haven't yet, write down your 3 simple, small, but critical actions and embed it to be able to do those 3 simple actions, okay, on a daily basis. And everything else, okay, you work your schedule around that. Of course, as Patman rightly pointed out, last night, in terms of prioritization, hopefully your family is really supporting you because you've sat down with them, just like I sat down with my 3 kids when I started this business and told them that they were not going to see me as much, that I was not going to be there for them, and I was not going to get to attend all the events in school as I used to, because I was going to, start on this business, and that this was our family business, and therefore I needed all of us to, to pull together and to make it happen, correct? However, it does really start with your schedule ultimately, okay? So start with you. Block off those 3 critical actions and now make sure that you're doing that consistently, wedding or no wedding, okay? Great movie showing in the cinema or not, okay? Whatever it is that's going on, you make sure you do cinema or not, okay? Whatever it is that's going on, you make sure you do those 3 things on a daily basis. And because you want to also duplicate, what if you find 2 of your downlines who will do the same thing? Same simple, small, but critical actions of making new friends, of being a product of the product, of presenting daily. And if they find their 2, and they find their 2, and you keep doing it to the point where, because it's monkey see, monkey do, more and more of your team will start to behave, right? Will start to rise up, will rise again, will, dare to actually do this because, hey, we all like to be part of a tribe. We don't want to be the only one doing things, correct? And if they see more people around them, that power of association, doing the same simple but critical actions consistently on a daily basis, what do you think is going to happen? I'll bet you amazing things will happen this year if you just make it consistent. Because ultimately, again, okay, whatever it is, no matter how big your dreams are, again, okay, whatever it is, no matter how big your dreams are, no matter how committed you are, no matter how long your list is, right? And no matter how many times you counsel with your uplines, how much you present and follow through, if you're not doing it consistently, then why will people trust you? Because ultimately, consistency speaks of reliability, right? And our downlines are looking to us, not just to be examples, but to be there for them. To know that whatever's going to happen, we're going to be there for them. And we're not going to be there for them just teaching them. We're not going to be there for them, just motivating them, but that we're going to be there for them side by side in the trenches, doing the same thing that we're telling them to do. Creating massive change, not by our words, but by our small, simple, but critical actions that we're doing on a daily basis. Guys, never, ever, ever underestimate the power of consistency. Never. The power of small, simple, critical actions done consistently. Now, I always harp, and I'm stressing on critical because I know, especially for those of us who are already uplines, it's easy to say, Donna, I'm very busy. I'm doing so many things for my network, right? I'm doing this training, I'm doing this counseling, and I'm doing that, and I'm attending these Zoom meets, and so forth, and so on. However, sometimes we get too caught up in the busyness of managing our network that we forget that our network doesn't need us to manage them. Our network needs us to lead them, and to lead them by our actions, to lead them by our examples, to lead them by our actions, to lead them by our examples. Can you imagine if you become this like amazing trainer, right? And it's like, you have the charisma, and, you become such a great people person that, you can keep people in your Zoom meet, cameras on, listening to you attentively all the way until 2 a.m. in the morning every day. What are you going to duplicate? Your downlines are going to think, gosh, if I'm going to succeed in this business, I have to be a great trainer. I have to be able to hold people's attention for hours on Zoom. But is that going to bring you closer to your goal? It's not, isn't it? It's a tool. It's going to help you reach your goal, but it has no direct impact on your goal. So, guys, even if it's something that you're great at, even if it's, if there's something that you do that you're really great at, but it's not small, simple, and critical, that can be done daily by everyone in your team, and if it's not going to directly impact your goals and the direction of your team, of your business, you might want to rethink what you're focusing on, because you might be consistently wrong, right? You might be consistently failing. You might be consistently missing the mark, and you end up tired, you end up frustrated, you end up burnt out when you don't really have to. Because if you were just to focus on those 3 small, simple, critical actions on a daily basis, and you get everyone in your team to duplicate that because they're seeing you do it consistently, you might be surprised at how you will have not just the money, but also the time, right? So again, let me end by just reminding us, and I'm also reminding myself of this, let's not underestimate the power of consistency, the power of small, simple, critical actions done consistently. Never underestimate the power of momentum, Because as you start going into action, your team will go into action. And things in motion tend to stay in motion. Once you start the momentum, it'll actually get simpler and it will require less energy to continue that momentum, to continue that motion. Okay? So duplicate the right consistency, guys, not just today, not just, sometimes, but each and every day. Again, because your success and the success of your team will be determined ultimately by your daily agenda. Thank you so much. And here's to crossing March 31st, 2024, okay, strong and, and powerfully.